Hello, family. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Nkosinathi Maluleke, and I'm sitting next to my wonderful wife, Theresa Maluleke. Such a beauty and humble spirited woman that I've enjoyed working with for the past year and, let's see, 6 months?
Yeah, officially.
Yeah, officially, yes, of course. But we've had the privilege, the rare privilege of dating for about how long? Close to 7 years, I think. Yeah,
6 years.
6 years. So it means we've been together for about 8 and 9 years now, I think. So it's amazing. But we're married now. So that's to the glory of God. So today we are going to be speaking about relationships and dating. Relationships and dating. Thank you so much to Malamulele InterYouth for giving us an opportunity. We consider it a rare privilege and an honor beyond words to be able to communicate and to be able to be considered as those who can communicate. We are by no means perfect, but I believe that God will use us to communicate that which is true in the Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any words?
No, we can get into it.
We can get into it. I'm not quite sure which verse we can link this conversation to. We don't want it to be biased, but I asked my wife if we could talk about what I wish I knew before I got committed into a relationship.
Yeah.
For context, we're going to read from the book of 1 John chapter 4, and I want us to take a quick gaze on verses 7, chapter 4, verses 7. Even if we just read only verse 7, it will be fine as a background, then we can talk from there. The Bible then reads, this is the NIV, "Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God." I'll say this. I think for me, the most important thing that a Christian must know and must be acquainted with before getting into any other relationship with anyone else is the Lord. So if there's anything that I wish I knew before getting into relationships and dating, was that I wish I was founded. I wish
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I knew the Lord.
Yeah.
Not only know the Lord because my grandparents were Christians, and by consequence, my parents were also Christians. So I was brought up in a Christian home, and I went to church when I was very young. We used to do instruments and setting up at church. So I was at church all the time. But I'm talking about a personal knowledge. And the word knowledge here is not knowing by awareness, but we're talking about an intimacy, an experiential knowledge of God.
Yeah.
So the Bible tells us that those who love are actually those who have come to know God, because his character is that of love. So before you can formulate any relationship, before you can go into dating, I think the most important thing is to have your compass right. Have the
Yes.
north for your life sorted.
Yeah.
Know God.
Yeah.
I think for me that would be the first point.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with you on that one as the first point. The thing that I want to add that I wish I knew before I got committed to our relationship was my purpose, right? What I was called to do and what I was called to be by the Lord. Because you must know that your partner determines the ability or the extent to which you can fulfill your purpose, right? And when you know what your purpose is, it's easy to know when a partner is not the right partner for your purpose. Because if it's contradictory to what you're called for, or it does not complement and it goes in an opposite direction, then perhaps it's not it. Because the the key thing about a relationship or a marriage is that you must complement each other. It's you are stronger together. You're stronger to fulfill destiny together. So if you're not complementing the other person's purpose or they are not complementing yours, then perhaps that's not the right relationship for
Yes.
you. So that's what I wish I knew before.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's very key.
yeah, I think for us, because the Lord is so merciful and gracious, it was a thing of, even though I didn't know my purpose, I only knew my purpose when we were already in a relationship. But the Lord has been merciful to have led me to the right partner without even knowing that purpose. It's only in hindsight that I realized that, oh, okay, I see how it all works together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I find it very, very key what you are saying about purpose. And, as you spoke, I realized that perhaps the question would be from many people, how do I know that is the right one that fits
Yeah.
into my purpose? And from what you are saying, I'm getting that it doesn't start by asking if the other person is the right one for your purpose. It starts by understanding what your purpose is.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak into that a bit more? How do you get to a place where you can say that, okay, I've got my purpose sorted
Mm.
and now I'm ready? How do I get to my purpose sorted?
Yeah, it goes back to your first point, right? Knowing the Lord. Because you can't know things of God outside of God. So it's only in the place of intimacy or the place of searching and seeking the Lord that you can know what your purpose is. Because surely the Lord reveals. And the other thing is that your purpose will never let you down. There's actually this lady that reminded me of this today, and she said, "Remember, your purpose will never let you down, but you can let yourself down in your purpose, because what purpose tends to do is it seeks you out." It seeks you out even when you don't know that it is your purpose. It will keep seeking you out. So it is better for you to start with the Lord before it even seeks you out. Because when purpose seeks you out and you are not aware, you miss opportune moments. You can even miss the right partner simply because you're not aware what your purpose is, and that purpose is seeking you out.
Yes.
Even that partner who is complementing your purpose is seeking you out. But because you haven't been in the secret place with the Father long enough to know what your purpose is, you can't even see it when you see it.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. I don't want us to dive too deep into purpose because we don't want to lose the audience.
Yeah.
Here we are talking about relationships and dating, and specifically what I wish I knew. So we have already said, I wish I knew the Lord at the depth that is sufficient for you to ultimately find out purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, because as you spoke, I just got reminded we are speaking to an audience of Christocentric, born again Christians here. I just got reminded that the Bible then says in John chapter 1 that these are children not born out of human will,
Yeah.
not born out of father's will, but born out of the will of God Himself. In other words, there is a greater purpose for your life that is not, it's not necessarily individualistic. I teach about
Yeah.
something called the blueprint for our lives. So God has already designed a pathway for everyone. That pathway was designed in eternity. God was intentional about your plan in life that He knows which corner you're going to take and which day.
Yeah.
It's so meticulous about the detail that the Bible tells us that He has engraved your name in His palm.
Yes.
So that's how our Father is. However, there is what we call human will,
Yes.
because you have a will. So, though be it that the Father has a plan for you, there's a blueprint for you, there is your human will, and because of your human will, there's what then comes in as your own purpose to that which the Lord has already planned.
Yeah.
So, in other words, you can choose to walk on what God has planned, Or you can choose to create an alternative or parallel environment completely
Yeah.
by walking away from the Lord.
Yeah.
But that exercise can only happen when one gives themselves an opportunity to know God and to find out about themselves. So,
Yeah.
as you spoke, I just realized that perhaps we also need to say this loud, as much as it can be obvious, that in that time where you are seeking to know the Father, to know the Lord, you should also be seeking to know yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important.
Yeah.
Your strengths, your weaknesses,
Yeah.
understand yourself as a person, what gets me tipped off, what gets me angry. Those are the things that sometimes are revealed in relationships. We get to learn about ourselves when we are confronted with conflict, different challenges, and that's where I realize who I am in general and how I respond to situations, and that I'm a time-ticking bomb myself. I get to realize it in a relationship, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? What else did you wish you knew?
Okay, the other thing, but I'm just thinking of it now when you're talking, especially when you are in a society where dating is defined for you, right? Dating is one of the one of the most of the things that are defined in society is dating. It has to be at the top of the list. Well, dating, how to be successful, all those things, they're at the top of the list, and it's so easy to fall into the trap of how to date according to what the world says. And there are different standards that are there, but what I'm saying is that it's easy to date according to the world, right? At a particular point, it's easy to do that. But it's actually more difficult to date according, it's to correct the course. It's more difficult to correct the course when you have dated outside of the standards of God.
Yes.
So what I would advise is, because what I would advise my younger self, the person that started dating, is it seems difficult now to be an anomaly to what society is saying. But a few years down the line, it's going to even be more difficult when you actually know the Lord and you found out your purpose. It's going to be more difficult for you to now align back to the standards of God.
Yeah.
So the best way is to start now. As much as it seems difficult, it's not actually as difficult as you think
Yeah.
it is.
No, thank you so much. I think you're bringing us to perhaps a matter we can bring the discussion to a close. They only gave us a few minutes. But you're speaking about something that is quite interesting. What I'm getting from what you're saying is, I wish I knew the do's and the don'ts
Yes.
of a Christocentric
Yeah.
relationship and dating.
Yeah.
And that has been quite difficult for most to say currently, because like you are saying, the overwhelming noise is coming from the world
Yeah.
as to what is it to date.
Yeah.
Even perhaps the word dating is probably
Yeah.
borrowed. We don't have that
Yeah.
in the house, do we?
Yeah. But not only to know the do's and don'ts, but to be courageous enough to to follow those principles, right? Because sometimes we might be carried away by the do's and don'ts of checking lists, of checking, okay, should I do this? Okay, yes, I should do it. Then you do it. Should I not do this? Okay, I have not done it. Then it becomes a checklist. But it goes back to the first 2 points that we said. Knowing the Lord, knowing yourself and your purpose, leads to now you living whatever your do's and don'ts are always aligned. They go back to what your purpose is and what the Father says about
Yeah.
you, right? Because it's, as much as we are all Christians, we all have different standards according to what your purpose is.
And that is what I find difficult.
Okay.
That is what I find difficult. I was actually going to lead you to that question, even if you didn't bring it together out yourself.
Yeah.
It's how do you then leave it to the person to decide what is right and what is wrong for them?
Which person?
Me, I'm the young one, not dating.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving it to me to decide according to my purpose and how I know God on the
Okay.
do's and the don'ts?
No, not entirely. That's the
Okay.
thing. Because there are foundational principles. And going back to wh- if we are all Christians, right? There is one thing that makes us Christians. That's Christ, the foundation. We are all Christians because of the same thing. You can't say I'm a Christian because of this. No, there's all one fundamental thing, Christ, right? And that cannot be changed. But even within being a Christian, there are different ministries we are called to and different gifts that we have. And we walk differently according to the gifts that is at work in us.
So
right?
you don't train
So
a prophet like you train an evangelist.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So what I'm saying is that even dating has foundational principles that are not even your personal choice.
Yes.
It's a principle that it's kingdom principles for dating. Those are there and they cannot be violated.
And which are these? Give me two.
Two.
Two, just two.
Now I have to think about which two I want to highlight.
Let me highlight the first one.
Okay.
Sex before marriage is a sin.
Okay. I wouldn't say sex before marriage is a sin.
Okay.
But we can use the word sin. But I would rather use that. What does Paul say? That whoever commits
Sexual
adultery
sin
or
is-
sexual
defiles
immorality
their own body.
defiles their own body. I would use that definition because sin, even sin within the Christian community, sometimes is vague. What do you mean by sin? But let's separate it down. Let's define it. Sexual immorality is a defiling of your own body. And you need to understand that your body is the temple of God. So sexual immorality is the defiling of the temple of the Most High. That's the viewpoint you must take. That whenever you engage, as outside of marriage, when you engage in sexual activity, and whether it be physical or even mental, because we need to remember that we are even, it's not just about you not having
Yes,
sex, but
yes.
where are your thoughts? Where is your heart? Are you lusting after women? Are you lusting after men? So it's that sexual immorality is a defilement of the temple of God, which is your body. That's what it is. So when we start seeing it from that viewpoint, it's not a matter of, okay, I'm committing sin against God. No, you're defiling yourself, you're defiling the temple of the Most High, and we know that the Most High does not. He hates living in dirty temples.
Yes.
He doesn't like that. Even in the Old Testament, there is that principle how the temple must be kept according to standards. And he wants those standards kept with our own bodies.
Yes. Yeah, without getting into it any further than this, that is why it remains a sin. Let me use that word,
Yeah.
even in marriage. It is
Yes.
because it continues to defile the body.
Exactly.
It's an act of treason against your own
Yes.
self.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, wow. What about kissing?
Kissing.
Yes.
Okay. I'm on the fence about kissing, but it's not really that I'm on the fence. I'll just give my opinion on kissing. There is a danger in kissing, right? Because there is a physiological reaction, and you're more versed on this, so
Yes.
how the body reacts on. But there is a physiological reaction that even the most prayerful, walking with the Lord person is not immune to, because it's a physiological thing. Your body responds. So I would say, do not put yourself in a position where you will lead to the defilement of your body.
Yeah.
Because if you've done it before, if you've kissed someone before, and you know what the reaction is, then don't try it again. don't try it again, because what happens is that when you try it, your physiology responds, and when your physiology responds, you now want to tend to your physiology. You
Yes.
might say, okay, no, I'm not going to. I am a master of my flesh. But the Lord does not promote you trying to exercise authority or trying to prove that you're a master. You can't keep saying, no, I'm going to just keep doing it because I want to prove that I'm a master of my own. No, no, because
Yeah.
then that's opening another thing.
Wow. So it is a gateway. It's
Yeah,
what in the drug industry they call it a gateway drug.
yeah,
You start small, but it is a spectrum of the same thing.
yeah,
I always say this that one of the art, and I'm just speaking this perhaps now to the greater audience, but that one of the arts of speaking, particularly of preaching, is the balance between what is controversial and what is true. So there are things that are true. For instance, it is true that whenever there is an attraction between a male and a female, there will be a physiological response.
yeah,
That is the truth.
yeah,
It's fact, it's fundamental. It has
yes,
nothing to do with how I feel about it. Every time there's an attraction between the opposite sex, there will be that physiological response. And
yes,
one can even extend it to say that any sexual attraction for that fact will make you respond in one way or
yeah,
another. So that's the
yeah,
truth.
yeah,
And it is at the end of it is absolute. It has no comparison, no debate whatsoever.
yeah,
And the controversies can be what we are just saying right now.
yeah,
How do you then, where do you draw the line and say, now this is now bordering on me falling into the edge?
yeah,
And that is where I think the walk becomes difficult and tricky for most of our young people is, but it's simply kissing. Now, the issue with it is that how do you know or where do you draw the line
yes,
of it's no longer just kissing now, it's kissing with the mental activity of
yeah,
the ultimate thing. Because
yeah,
activating the ultimate thing, even with just kissing, is simply just doing the thing itself. So that is why it's important to understand that there are things that are fundamental and basic that we
yeah,
must keep as fundamental and basic. And there are things that are controversial. Everyone has something to say about it. There are some pastors, some preachers, some leaders, some people we trust who will say it's okay. There are
yes,
some who will say it's a no-no. And that is
yeah,
where the area of controversy lies.
yeah,
And you have to be masterful and technical in terms of how and what we promote. But let us not forget that the truth is the truth. And the
yes,
truth is not debatable.
yeah,
Now, I want us to bring it to a close. We probably ran out of time already.
okay,
And let me just say that I think the best advice anyone could have given me was be accountable to someone when it comes to dating and relationships. Have someone that you account to at the level of if there is really something that I'm unsure about, there is
yeah,
someone I can always call.
yeah,
If and it's someone I trust. If I'm caught up
yes,
in behind the closed doors and things are getting very tricky and very hot and I'm unable to control my edges, I really think that if I had someone to call, perhaps I wouldn't have stepped into some of the ditches I stepped into. So when we were young, grade 2, somewhere there was this thing of girls in particular used to write letters to
yeah,
maybe a girl in the second grade or 2 grades ahead and saying, can I ask you to be my mommy? Did you guys do it as well?
yeah, we had
Yeah, yeah. So
it.
that's what I'm advocating for. I'm
Yeah,
advocating for a girl child to have a mentor, a boy child to have a mentor. And perhaps we don't have these people, but identify one because if without a balance, a checking of balances, the controversial things become a personal choice.
yeah,
And these things are not supposed to be personal choices. They are actually bases that we can find on scripture that support the decision you should take. But without someone who guides you, I think we might find it very tricky. I wanted to read you 2 scriptures. But you want to say something onto that, baby?
No, you can close. Close.
The first scripture I wanted to read was in Romans chapter 12, verse 1, when you spoke about how we are conforming to how the world is designed or decided on what dating should mean and how dating should go.
Yeah.
I'm reading from the NIV version. I love this Bible. It's wonderful. But I just want you to read with me, if you can, from Romans chapter 12. Verse 1, the Bible says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy. Now, the word God's mercy here, or the use of the words in view of God's mercy, is to re-emphasize our own weakness and vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
He wants you to be aware that you, as a Christian, as a believer, as a born-again warrior, fire-filled preacher, devil caster, all of that, almighty man of God, in view of God's mercy, not in view of your own strength, offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to the Lord. This is a true and proper worship. He says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what is God's will for your life. This will is good, is pleasing, and is perfect. So it says, in view of God's mercy, and perhaps that's the message we should leave you guys with, is that in view of God's mercy, as you contemplate going into relationships, dating, in view of God's mercy, in view of what He has already done for you and in you, consider a sacrificial life. Yeah, consider a sacrificial life when it comes to dating and relationships. Consider a sacrificial life. Consider a life that is not selfish. Now, let's read with the last scripture here, Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1.
Okay.
Did you want to read something?
No, it's the last one. Our time is out.
Yes. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of faith. For the joy that is set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured with such opposition from sinners, so that you would not grow weary and lose heart. For
Amen.
those of you who have made a commitment of purity, and I know there are many,
Yeah.
those of you who have made a commitment of even abstaining from this question that we're talking about today, consider Jesus Christ. Continue. You are doing well.
Yes.
Continue. We cannot at any point advocate for anything more than that. Abstinence as much as you can from even participating in the question. When you
Of
are in
dating,
it, then
yeah.
you apply principles.
Yes.
But before you even jump into dating, if your decision has been to abstain until you are ready, until such a time where it is deemed necessary or you are deemed mature,
Yes.
do that.
Yep.
Stay the course of purity.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Any-
no.
Nothing.
We are out of
Guys,
time.
thank you so much
That's
for giving
enough. I
us.
think that's
We are
enough.
so glad that we could do this.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that the Lord will provide us with many opportunities to speak to some of these questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you.
Thank you.